Good morning, tribal dancers. Getting ready for Santa around here. Woke up to 6 inches of snow this morning. That felt great. I was on with Marina from Heart Center to Row and several guests. We take turns and rotate for the Shine Your Light event. It's so hard to believe that a year has passed. This was the 12th monthly event. And what it is a rolling light your porch light. If you have candles in the window, that's awesome. If you have candles on the front porch, that's awesome. If you have your porch light on, that's awesome. And to leave it on all night long. And this rolling event is to try to create a sense of peace that begins at one end of the time zone and rolls over. Now, Marina's in Canada, and we have other Canadian people participating, as well as here in the US, all you wonderful chatters, as well as those who come on and share their conversation. No politics and no personal questions. And it's just such a sense of peace and several moments of meditation. And it ends with such a blessing. Val from Dragonfly Crystals creates beautiful incantations, prayers that keep it rolling on the hour, every hour, as it rotates through the nation. And because the snow was falling, it just made it a little more peaceful. We are at that time of the year where the veil is thin. It's going to stay thin. We're getting solar flares like crazy. Here they come again. Stefan Burns has already predicted an X-flare on its way, as this great big huge coronal hole is on the rim and getting ready to face Earth completely. So watch for more of the earthquakes and volcano eruptions and weather events of all sorts. So this event last night that occurred here with the snow was just heavy snow and came on quite suddenly. We had had a dusting earlier, and it looked like it was just going to go away, and we weren't going to get any. Though Minnesota, Wisconsin, Jersey, Ohio, Chicago, everybody else was getting it. But I'm in this valley that often skips over. And this is what's so funny, because it's very much like where I lived in Virginia. In Virginia, I had the Blue Ridge around me, and I was in a valley there, headed towards DC. Excuse me. So we either got it and got it all, or we got nothing. There were several winters without nothing. But in 2009, we had Snowmageddon. 36 inches fell in 24 hours. It stopped everything. And then the very next week, we went into a deep freeze. So everything stopped for 2.5 weeks. Anyway, my friend, the opossum, my friend Larry, was out last night. I I don't know if it's a male or a female. I don't even know if it's the same one, but I would assume so because they become territorial and they go looking for food close to where they live. And I'm pretty sure he's living under the beautiful barn that's next door to me. Anyway, he's meandering around on the ground because this is the time of the year that juncos are here and they're ground feeders. So I always make sure that I throw seeds on the ground for them. So he's meandering around down there picking up all the scraps that the juncos had missed. And the dogs started fussing. And I got the dogs off of Larry, and Larry went and hid in the shadows. And then the show started. And then I looked outside afterwards, and it was snowing. And Larry was back up on the bird trays. And I put bird trays out there for my wild friends. And whatever's left at night is what's there for Larry. Well, because the weather is getting cold again, I've been adding some extra things. So last night I had some roasted pumpkin seeds, and I had put those out in the early part of the evening, just in case it came. Well, he found those. And I assumed he gobbled them up all at once, but he didn't. And so later on, as the snow continued to fall and started to get deeper, where he had disturbed the snow on those trays and had eaten, the snow had built up again. And I had looked out the kitchen window while standing there getting a snack, and there's this possum stretched out, looking much smaller than Larry, and little nose very carefully digging under the snow to where the pumpkin seeds were. So now I have to do some research because I don't know if a male opossum is bigger or is the female bigger. After all, she's the one who has the babies. And in the raptor world, the females are larger than the males because the females are the ones that go out and get most of the food, do all the work, raise the chicks, sit on the, well, they take turns sitting on the eggs, but the male doesn't go out and feed until later, and then they start taking turns. But because the female has to carry the eggs and needs that energy, she is sometimes, most of the time, an inch bigger. Like red tails are 26 inches tall. She's the one who's bigger, 27, 28 inches. That'll be a female. If you go to red shoulders, then drop it down 2 inches and do the same thing, 22 to 24. But 24 to 25 will be a red shoulder. And then the Coopers, and then the Harriers, and all the others in between, falcons and hawks. Now, eagles, they're a little bit different. They're closer in size, the male and female. And there's nothing like the experience of holding an eagle. And just try to do a demonstration and hold your arm out with, 4 ounces of bird for an hour. You can't do it. That's why they make those great big tall things. An eagle weighs more than 4 ounces, but they have hollow bones. They're all feathers, so it takes a lot for them to have some poundage. They weigh around 3 pounds, 4 pounds. But I digress. Back to Larry. So now I have to do some research and figure out what is what in the opossum world. And is this one of the little ones venturing out on its own? Because that could be too. So getting ready for some Christmas. And going bionic. It's exciting times we live in. You know, I mentioned this last night. What's going on in the transiting planets with the retrogrades and the health conscious planets? This is all about finding new solutions to health issues. I made another discovery. Being a vegan, it never dawned on me that I'd be vitamin B12 deficient. And so I've started taking that as a supplement. And it's doing much better pain-wise. Recuperating after movement. Not cramping up. So it's time for me to add that supplement. And after doing research on what's the best, I decided to go with a sublingual so I can put it under my tongue and digest it, get it started digesting in my mouth before I swallow it. Because, you know, when you do that with pills, you don't get the entire value of what you're taking. So, hooray for knowledge, hooray for education, hooray for educating ourselves and getting out there and discovering. The asteroid Juno is all about partnerships, and she's conjunct Mars, and they're about taking action on doing what is necessary for optimal health. And depending on what house it falls in your chart and where yours are, you could have aspects that are giving you the clear path to complete rejuvenation. And I'm lucky. All the dates fell together for my bionic adjustment at a moment where that looks like a pretty good success story. So, another little sip. Please enjoy the rest of this day. December 1st. December 1st tomorrow. Oh my gosh. Good way to start the month on a Monday. Bye, everybody. See you soon.